The new Canik TP9SF, let's check it out. The long-awaited Canik TP9SF. SF stands for Special Forces. This has been one of those pistols that's really taken a lot of American shooters by storm. And one of the big reasons is because of the quality and the price. Some people pronounce it Janik, but that's how they pronounce it in Turkey. But here in the US, Canik is how we pronounce it. Now, I started out with the standard Canik PT9. And, you know, it had kind of a funky trigger. It was a double single action trigger. It had the decocker, which has been a real big controversial thing with the Canik firearms. But of course, before we get started, we're going to go ahead and make sure that the gun is unloaded. And it is. One of the things about this pistol is it is single action only. Some of the Caniks are double action and single action. And of course, with the decocker, to me, it's important that it would be a double action. And we're going to look at that in a few minutes. This is the latest version, and when this video is out right now, January 2016, these have not quite hit the market. They're on the way though, and that's one of the things about Century Arms. They're great about getting these pistols to the market as quickly as possible. Now we have the three upgraded versions of the TP9. I don't have the TP9 right here, but this is the TP9SA, the TP9 V2, and the TP9 SF. What we're going to do is I'll open these up so you can see that they are unloaded. The original TP9 SA had this little decocker right here. This was a big concern with a lot of people. The big problem was they figured that if anything bumped this, that it could decock the pistol. Theoretically, that's possible, but there's been a lot of tests done on this, and it's never decocked. In fact, a good buddy of mine, Vigilant Spectre, I'll have a video link down in the description, where he actually put this behind a truck and drove it for a long time on an old dirt road, and bumping and hitting and everything else, and it never decocked. And so, you know, that could be, though, and it is possible, and I can understand the possibility, because what happens is, let's say that you're ready to fire, and for some reason this has been decocked, you have a dead trigger. And so that could definitely be an issue. But with the TP9 V2, they kind of answered that with a double action trigger. And so what happens is, let's say you have one in the chamber, the decocker gets hit, and so you would typically, with the SA, you'd have a dead trigger. With the V2, it goes into double action. So it actually brings it back, and there you go. It recocks the striker manually instead of just pulling the slide back. So to me, that really answered any of the issues that you could have with this being decocked, because it was almost like a double action revolver at that point. But still, the decocker, some people just couldn't quite get past it. So with the SF, it's completely slick on top. Again, so there's no decocker here, and just like any of the other pistols, the Smith & Wesson M&P, the Glock, the SIGs, you know, the HK VP9, they don't have this decocker, and neither does this. And so this really answered a lot of the concerns. Now, one thing that some guys really don't like is that to break the pistol down, you have to pull the trigger. And that's definitely going to be the case with the SF. To disassemble, you're going to have to disengage the striker. You take these tabs, pull it down, and the slide comes right off. I mean, it's really easy. Now, with the SA and the V2, to break the pistol down, hit the decocker, go ahead and pull your tabs down, and the slide comes right off. Now, as far as interchangeability of slides, if you take the SF and put it on the V2, you're not going to have the same capability. If you put the V2 slide on the SF frame, you're not going to have that double action pull. The V2 is specifically designed for this frame and this slide. As far as the TP9 SA and SF, they should interchange just fine. Now, the standard TP9 magazine should work in all of these models. The originals were kind of a shiny finish here, but then they went with this matte finish. And these are all Metgar magazines, so they're good, high quality. There are some differences between the pistols rather than just the decocker. And one of the big things are the sights. You can see that the sights are a little bit longer on the rear, and on the front we have a dovetail. On the original Canics, the rear sight had to be shortened because of the decocker. And then with the front sight, it's fixed. So there's not really a way to interchange any kind of aftermarket sight on this the front sight, but you could on the rear, but it still had to be pretty short. With the SF model, you know, we're going to be able to put different type sights on here. Now, I can't remember, I believe there are actually two different type sights that go on here that are already available for factory pistols. And we'll get more information about that a little bit later as these come available. Another big thing is the top of the slide is smooth. On the original Canik and on the other model subsequent, it does have serrations all along the top. You'll also note that the barrel is a little bit different, at least the chamber right here at the rear. This is a cold hammer forged barrel that they begin to place in these pistols, which gives it even more barrel life. Also, it does have the chamber indicator like it did on the V2 model. So we're going to take a dummy round, place it in, go ahead and bring it and chamber it right here along the top. And you'll see that it just comes up just a little bit. And what that does, it makes it tactile, but you can also see it, that it just rises a little bit. It's not too large and really unobtrusive. Another thing too is it does have a striker indicator. Now this gun has been cocked and you can see that the striker is engaged. So we can pull the trigger and then it disappears. The rear of the slide is a little bit different. The cuts are a little bit more at an angle and not so rounded off, and that carries all the way through the pistol. Here with the SF on the right and then the V2 on the left, you can see here too it's cut and just gives you a little less surface, a little thinner along the top of the slide. But the great thing is it's not a completely new design, so you're going to have the same reliability that you're getting with the original TP9 models. Now at 7 yards, shooting HPR jacketed hollow points. This is 115 grain. I didn't expect any different because of all the testing we've done previously with the other models of the TP9. And just, you know, it's just a really exceptional pistol when it comes to accuracy, when it comes to durability. As far as trigger pull, it's a really smooth, crisp, super crisp break. Reset, very short and tactile and audible. So it really allows you to keep that trigger very close to the frame when firing. Okay, it does have a trigger safety here, so unless you really press the entire trigger, you're not going to set this off. And then secondly, there are internal firing pin safeties as well. It does not have a magazine disconnect safety, which is a big plus in my opinion. The weight on the pistol is just under 30 ounces at 29.3 ounces. It's 7.5 inches in length, 5.7 inches in height, and 1.35 inches or 1 1/3 inches in width. I mean, it is a full-size service pistol. The barrel length is just under 4.5 inches at 4.46 inches. They are, from what I understand, putting together a compact model that'll be introduced coming up in the next either few months or by next year. To me, that is really going to be sweet. They are making what they call the SFX, which is a competition model with a longer slide. It even has a cut for an RMR or a different type red dot sight, and there's some other things about it, but that's coming up as well right around the corner. The Canik does carry a limited lifetime warranty, so that really is great to know that they're standing behind their products. They do come with two 18-round magazines, and if your state has restrictions, they do offer a 10-rounder. This has what they call the APC finish on it. It's a very slick finish, and these are Metgar magazines, which are really high quality. Metgar makes magazines for a lot of the major gun manufacturers in the world, and they're very slick and very smooth. It does have a Cerakote finish, but underneath it's been phosphated. So it's going to protect the finish of the metal, and then with the Cerakote it's going to make it really nice, and it does. It looks really sharp. It's a really well-made pistol. In fact, Tim at Military Arms Channel just did a torture test with between the VP9 and the TP9, and I believe that was the SA, and the TP9 held up much better than even the VP9, which I own a VP9 and I really like that pistol. But this really can go through whatever you can dish out. It has a polymer frame with accessory rail that's a 1913 Picatinny rail. Very ergonomic. The texturing here is really good. I mean, it really fits very well in the hand. Serrations on the front strap and on the back strap, so it gives you a really good feel. With these little areas that close in, it really molds to the hand. It gives your fingers a place to rest. Now, it does have a removable back strap, and there is a little bit larger back strap that you can replace for this one. The magazine release is changeable. You can move it to the left for those left-handed shooters, and that makes this pistol fully ambidextrous. It's really simple to break down, and we've checked to make sure it's unloaded. Pull the trigger, then just pull these tabs down, and the slide comes right off. Very simple. Here we have a metal guide rod. It is captive and recoil spring, and of course the barrel, which is one of the breech lock designs, very similar to the Browning design. Very similar to most of your striker fire pistols that are on the market. Of course, that technology, has really gone a long way over the past 30 years. Now, the one thing about Canik is they do produce firearms for the Turkish military, and they do have an ISO 9000 rating, and so it just shows not necessarily that the products are fantastic, but it does show a lot of quality control in the process. And guys, I'll tell you, all the pistols that we've shot, and I've done a lot of different testing, they've just held up extremely well. To reassemble, just in reverse order, insert your barrel, your recoil spring and guide rod, and then just bring your slide right over your frame. And it's really simple to do. The magazines are available on the Century Arms website. I believe they're $29.99. I know Aim Surplus at one point had some. I went there just before I did this video, and I didn't see them on there, but I had gotten some of those from Aim. So you might want to check with Aim. They usually carry the Canik models, and Aim's just a great source anyway for a lot of cool stuff. It just seems like they carry the things that I want. The price hasn't come out yet, but it should be around the $350 range, which, guys, I'm telling you, for what you got here, it's just fantastic. I know I've set this right next to my VP9, and I had a hard time deciphering which one was which. I had to really look and see Canik or HK, and that tells you a lot. Comes in a really nice box with closed foam padding. Of course, you can see immediately that it comes with the holster, and a lot of guys will talk about this holster, I'm going to upgrade, blah blah blah, but I've seen so many guys with just cheap holsters, and this is a really pretty decent Serpa-esque type holster. Fits right here with a paddle, and it works. Of course, you get your extra 18 round magazine loader, larger back strap, cleaning brush, cleaning rod, and a high-quality owner's manual. The Canik line has been really strong. Again, they are very responsive to the needs of the shooter. Just like with the Decocker, there was a lot of talk about the Decocker being a liability, so they did away with it. I mean, Canik's really been able to move with the market, and that says a lot about it. So the Canik TP9SF, thumbs way up. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. But we're going to go ahead and look through, but there are some different, little bit different cuts in the different ones, but now it comes in a really decent, for a great sidearm, for a bedside gun, for a range gun. This is excellent.
Yeah, I know I say excellent a lot. I've been told that, but this is excellent.